Welcome back, my friends. Today we have a very important topic to talk about. Yesterday, a beautiful soul, a beautiful lady, wrote a comment if I could talk about Serbia, if I could comment on the current protests that are happening. And I'm glad to talk about this. So, when I look into what's happening in the world, it's crazy how many countries, how many places are in conflict right now. So many things are happening at so many different places, like wars, conflicts, protests. There are fires, floods, earthquakes. So much is going on, right? So I hope you're starting this day with a grateful heart because, well, that's where we begin, right? That's where we begin. And when you feel like people are going through a lot and you feel helpless, you feel like you can't do anything, you can always go within and send a beautiful thought, a prayer to someone who's looking for the light and healing inside of their hearts. You can do that because, well, we are intertwined, we are all threads in this web and we're all learning how to work together better, how to work together stronger, right? In Serbia, something big is happening right now. It's actually for 3 months. There are protests, big protests. And the good part about it is that they were initiated by young people, by students, right? By students. They've recognized there's corruption happening. There's the lack of transparency happening. Young people see that. And that's a good thing. What's happening is not a good thing. Like, why this is happening is not a good thing, but it's a sign of the end of the old systems, right? What the ancient prophecies are talking about. So let's talk about our brothers and sisters in Serbia. The student-led protests in Serbia, the largest since 1968, erupted after the tragic collapse of a concrete canopy at Novi Sad Central train station on November 1st, 2024, which killed 15 people. The disaster exposed deep-rooted government corruption and negligence, leading to mass outrage. By early December 2024, students began peaceful demonstrations demanding accountability and systematic reforms. Their movement quickly grew, gained broad public support from workers, taxi drivers, and other citizens. On December 22nd, over 100,000 people gathered in Belgrade, marking the largest protest in 2 decades, which is huge. Then on late January 2025, students organized an 80-kilometer march from Belgrade to Novi Sad. On February 1st, 2025, protesters blocked the Freedom Bridge in Novi Sad for 24 hours. In response to mounting pressure, Prime Minister Miloš Vučević resigned, but protesters continued to demand broader systematic change, including the resignation of President Aleksandar Vučević. The movement symbolizes a larger fight against corruption, authoritarianism, and lack of transparency in Serbia. So many people believe that the collapse was essentially caused by government corruption in a large infrastructure project with Chinese state companies. And there are critics who believe that it all was led to a sloppy job during the construction of Novi Sad train station, poor oversight and disrespect of existing safety regulation. And when we think about this, we may say these things shouldn't happen. How can this kind of things happen? Right? How can a concrete canopy collapse and 15 people die? Well, it's a sign that maybe those who are in a position of a leader are not involved enough in the community, which is a sign that their main priority was not people but something else, right? And we see that all over the world, and that's what Hopi people, what ancient tribes, ancient people said: when people will be led by greed and corruption, they will lead a path of destruction. Yesterday I was talking about these 3 sheikhs of the world, and many people believe we are in the 3rd sheikh of this prophecy, which is the biggest and the hardest, where people who are disconnected from nature, from life, going through hard times, they're feeling lost, and you can pray for them. But at the same time, we see people waking up. We see young people in Serbia waking up, recognizing, hey, we want to grow up in a system that's supportive for our ambitions, for our vision, for our talents, for our God's given gifts, right? Serbia has a strong spirit. Young people have begun the protests. There are taxi drivers who are offering free rides for students. This is a community service. This is a sacrifice, my friends. When we see these things, we see people know what is right. People know what is right, which is a fall of governmental systems that are corrupted, that lack transparency, right? And it is a good thing when we see this kind of things, but it's also hard. 15 people died due to this. I want to send prayers and love to all the family members and friends and loved ones of these 15 people. And I think it's important to talk about this because sometimes we feel powerless. Sometimes people feel powerless when this kind of things happen, like there's so much of corruption, I can't do anything about it. Or there's so much of false information, or everything is bad and I can't do anything about it. But then we look into this kind of situation, like there's many different places where people are coming together right now, like people in Serbia right now. We see when people come together, there's a birth of a new strength, right? And this is a mother's womb. Community is a mother's womb that give birth to a new life of society. And when we see these things, we need to ask ourselves whom to trust, because at the end of the day, it's the garden that you've nourished that will bring food onto your table, right? Not empty promises, not false statements, but what you've nourished in your life that will take care of your life. And we are in this time, as ancient people said, where people will come together. They will form communities. They will return to the Creator, and they will do what is right. People will come together. People will come together. Families will unite. Communities will rise. And they will give birth to a new nation, which is something that is awakening in humanity's heart. So this is a great example. What happens when we have the lack of accountability, right? You promise something to people and then you never do anything about it. And then people suffer. It's a sign that you've placed something above people, right? when you love money and you use people to make money, it's a beginning of destruction. So people come together because they recognize we are one mind, we are one heart, and when we come together, we are powerful. People were led to believe that we need someone to tell us what to do, right? We need someone to provide security to us because we are not smart enough or we are not good enough. But when you wake up, you recognize the only security that's truly provided to you is by God, by the Creator, by nature. And when you trust that, well, many things lose its importance in your life, right? When people start trusting life, they stop trusting people who lack aliveness because they know those people can't lead them. Only life can lead you. And well, you can easily see who's a healthy person. You can easily see who's a healthy leader because he looks healthy, she looks healthy. I haven't seen them on the news. I haven't seen them on TV, right? So what's happening in Serbia right now? For 3 months, people are showing up. This is what it means to fight for what is right. And it's the unity. When people come together, you see, people in Serbia right now are making change in politics. People on the streets are making change in politics because they've united, they showed power. This is a good thing. This is the power of unity. We are one mind, we are one heart, my friends. There's an ancient word that says anima mundi. This is an ancient word that was used by philosophers. That means world soul. It means you are an individual soul, an individual mind, but you are an extension of the one mind, of the great soul. And sometimes we need catastrophes. Sometimes we need crisis to be reminded of that. Because the last year, I'm from Slovenia, and I used to live somewhere else. Like last year we moved to where we live right now. And we had a great flood in Slovenia, and we were living near a river. We've been not touched by a flood because we were not close enough to it, but well, we've seen it, we've been there, and it was quite hard to see. Many people lost homes, many people lost their possessions, and some people even lost their family members due to it. But what happened? The village came together, cities came together, people came together. There was so many people who were willing to help in this area where we were, in our environment, that the firefighters needed to send people home because there was too many people who wanted to help. And this is what happens in times of crisis. It turns us back to that spark of ours that we've forgotten that lives in us. The spark of genuine need to be there for someone else. Because, well, our emotionality can strengthen us because it helps us to feel one another. That's why when in modern world we isolate ourselves, we start to look at our emotions as the source of all troubles. Like there's anxiety and there's fear, and it leads to overthinking. And then we look distractions and compulsive behaviors to escape from pain. While that pain is saying to you that you've been disconnected from the nature. You've been disconnected from life. And well, life includes other individuals, right? We are here together. We are not here separated. We are all one. And to be reminded of that, sometimes we need crisis, because while you can be isolated at your home, but when there's crisis, you will go there and you will feel like you want to be helpful. And this is powerful. It just awakens a sense of courage that has been asleep within all of us. Like, students have been courageous enough to show up for what is right. Well, you can appreciate that, right? It's young people that will change the world. So, many places right now are going through crisis. Many people are going through crisis, but we need to learn to appreciate crisis, because like in Serbia, they're changing the system because of that. Hopefully they will accomplish what they are looking for, and well, you can help them through your intentions. Now we are enlightening the Serbia with the whole world. Let's think about them. Let's think about anyone who's going through something right now. Let's bring them some support. May everyone rise up in courage today. May everyone rise up in truth today and be led by it. So this shows what happens when we place an importance to speaking out what is wrong. There's many things wrong in the society right now, many things wrong in the system right now, many things that are against God or against truth right now. And only the truth is what will set us free. And when we speak about it, well, we make it important. So true leadership should be based in truth. And truth says, love one another, because one day you will need one another. Corruption happens when we start loving money and greed and start using people to make more of it. So maybe we would be respected by someone we would like to be respected. While great ancient ancestors reminded us that all society is one. Doesn't matter from which continent you are, from which country you are, from which part of the world you are one, right? Which means you and me, well, we may seem different, but we go through similar struggles. And when there is the conflict, when there are this kind of devastating things, 15 people died, we need to recognize in these moments that we can see it as a beginning of something great. And the lives that have been lost have also been part of a great new beginning. So honor them and do what is right. It may be a very harsh thing, but it may bring us hope, because we need to see beyond the current struggle. We need to see beyond the current pain. Pain is initiation for change, but then change needs to be fed by what we see as a potential, by a vision. Those who are led by a vision and have faith in the Creator will thrive, according again to our great ancestors. So have a great vision and stand up for it, fight for it if it's necessary, but also rise beyond it, so you don't end up protesting without changing. Change, my friend. You see, build a connection with your family. Heal relationships with your family first, and then spread this healing onto your neighbors, onto community. Set better values for yourself. Set better values for yourself. What is at the first place of priority? Beyond your job, beyond your security. To see the common good, to see the highest good for you, for your family, for your community. And then strive towards it, right? To strive towards the highest good requires change in our minds, change in our habits. It requires change in what we value, change in what we appreciate, or honor, or respect. And it's quite tough many times, but be reminded that you're not here alone. You're not walking this alone. My friends, thank you for being courageous enough, for being strong enough. You're a wonderful example for the whole world. Like I said, many people, many places right now are going through something like that, and many of you are an incredible example that change is possible when we come together. So, my friends, I will leave you here. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. Thanks to all of you for choosing to support my art in our store, AttractPassion.com. It's a store, AttractPassion, where you can find my art. I'm a painter. Paintings are behind me, and I truly appreciate you. Till next time, one love.